Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the podcast. And today, I'm going to go over my preview and predictions for Saturday night's main event, All In and Evolution 2. So, let's start with the first event that's taking place this weekend. It is, well, I would say not the first, but first for WWE. Let's start with Saturday night's main event. These matches are not in a particular order, so again, don't get too mad. But these are the matches that I have for Saturday's main event so far. We have Solo Sikoa defending the U.S. Championship against Jimmy Uso. This was just announced recently from GM Nick Aldis from SmackDown. I'm going to be honest, man. I think Solo Sikoa is going to retain here. I don't see him dropping the U.S. title to Jimmy Uso. You know, obviously there's a lot of shit going on right now with the bloodline, specifically between Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. I think we are going to get a bloodline Civil War Part 2 kind of War Games matchup taking place in Survivor Series, being headlined by Jacob Fatu and his team going up against Solo Sikoa and his bloodline team as well. So I don't see Solo dropping the belt. Plus, Solo Sikoa just won the U.S. Championship off Jacob Fatu, so I don't see him quickly just hot potato in that U.S. title. So I have Solo Sikoa taking the W in this matchup and retaining the U.S. Championship. Other match I have on here that hasn't been announced yet from what I understand, but I think it should be announced here soon. It will be Dominic Mysterio defending the Intercontinental Championship against AJ Styles. Now, this match was supposed to happen over in Saudi. Unfortunately, that did not happen. I think Dominic Mysterio suffered a rib injury, so that match was postponed. It looks like we might be getting this match for this Saturday at Saturday's main event between AJ and Dominic for the Intercontinental Championship. I would love to see AJ Styles win this matchup and win the Intercontinental Championship, but the way that I look at it is the fact that Dominic Mysterio is immensely over right now. AJ Styles also has to worry about the Judgment Day. The Judgment Day is going to play a big factor in this matchup, whether it's Finn Balor, JD McDonough, Roxanne Perez, Raquel Rodriguez. Somebody's going to be involved in this matchup to obviously help Dominic facilitate the win in this match and retain. So I'm going to pick Dominic Mysterio to retain the Intercontinental Championship in this matchup. Moving on from that, we have LA Knight and Seth Rollins. LA Knight's been a thorn in the side of Seth Rollins now for the past couple weeks, as well as Seth Rollins. Obviously, you know, his stable has been attacking LA Knight with Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed attacking LA Knight. LA Knight kind of got even a little bit this past Monday Night Raw by attacking Seth Rollins by hitting a BFT on Rollins in the middle of the ring. I'm going to pick LA Knight. I think LA Knight needs this win over Seth Rollins. I think this win, or this loss, I would say, for Rollins affects him by no stretch of the means. He's currently holding the Money in the Bank briefcase. He can also cash in on Saturday night's main event with Goldberg and Gunther, which I'll talk about here soon. But it's not going to affect LA Knight or Seth Rollins at all if he loses this matchup. I'm going to pick LA Knight. You know, kind of feed the hot hand. I think LA Knight's going to win this match and beat Seth Rollins. Moving on from that, we got Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre. A little bit of a grudge match here. Obviously, McIntyre has been a thorn in Orton's side as well. Both guys have not really been doing so well on PLE wins, man. Both of these guys have been taking some L's as of late. Orton just recently lost the King of the Ring tournament against Cody Rhodes. So I'm going to take Randy Orton. After just what happened, I know Drew McIntyre just came back. I would like to see a Randy Orton win in this. I think we're going to slowly start seeing Randy Orton turn heel, which I'm all for that. I think we're slowly starting to get that unravel for Randy Orton to turn heel. I'm going to go with Randy Orton beating Drew McIntyre in this matchup at Saturday night's main event. And moving on from that, we go to the main event of Saturday night's main event. It is Gunther defending the World Heavyweight Championship against Goldberg. Goldberg's retirement match, his last match in WWE. I know a lot of people are saying that there's a very good chance that Goldberg could walk out World Heavyweight Champion in this match. This match is taking place in Atlanta, Georgia. It's Goldberg's pretty much hometown. It's where he went to, well, I wouldn't say hometown, but it's where he played college ball, collegiate football. He also played for the Atlanta Falcons at one time. So he has a lot of ties, obviously, to Atlanta. He also wrestled for WCW, which, you know, WCW was pretty much around the Atlanta area. So a lot of people know Goldberg, obviously, from his WCW days. I'm going to be honest with you guys. For one, this is for the World Heavyweight title. On one hand, you can see Goldberg winning the championship, but the problem is what happens when Goldberg does win, and if he does win, is he going to defend the World Heavyweight title? Is he going to stick around Monday Night Raw? Me, personally, I really don't want that as a fan. I'm going to pick Gunther to retain, the championship in this matchup, and that's pretty much it. I don't see Goldberg sticking around and really defending the World Heavyweight title unless somehow he wins it and then vacates it on Monday Night Raw. I'm picking Gunther to retain the belt. I just think, right now you got to feed the hot hand, and that's Gunther. I don't see him losing the World Heavyweight Championship. I think it'll be a decent match, maybe at best, between Goldberg and Gunther. But what I will say is this. A lot of times Goldberg has these high-profile matches in WWE as of late. They've ended really badly. So we're going to see how it plays out, but I'm picking Gunther to retain the World Heavyweight Championship. Moving on to the other event that's taking place Saturday before Saturday's main event. It is AEW's pretty much one of the best events they have all year is All In. It is like their WrestleMania for AEW. And the card is stacked. We have the Women's Casino Gauntlet match where the winner will move on to, or the winner will get a chance to challenge for their respected world titles. There's some names in this tournament. Obviously, we have Chris Statlander. We have Megan Bayne as well. There's going to be some other names added to this tournament. To be honest with you guys, I'm going to pick Megan Bayne to win this tournament unless somehow we get some kind of debut or surprise in this tournament. I'm picking Megan Bayne. I think Megan Bayne, they need to put her over. She's a force to be reckoned with within the women's division. I mean, for what it's worth, I wouldn't mind seeing Statlander with it, but I think Megan Bayne, and building new stars, and Tony Khan needs to do that. I'm going to pick Megan Bayne to win the Casino Battle Royal. We also had the men's Casino Gauntlet match as well. Again, a lot of surprises are also speculated for this matchup. There's the rumor of Jack Perry possibly. There's been rumors of speculation of the return of Eddie Kingston, Darby Allin. I'm going to pick, if Darby Allin's in this match, I'm picking Darby Allin to win the men's Casino Gauntlet match. He will get an opportunity to face either Adam Page or Jon Moxley for the AEW World title. I'm going to pick Darby Allin. My close second, though, was MJF, but I'm going to go with Darby Allin if he is, in fact, in this matchup. Moving on from that, we have the Young Bucks taking on Swerve and Ospreay, where stipulation is if the Bucks lose, they lose their EVP status. If Ospreay and Swerve lose, both Swerve and Ospreay will not be able to challenge for the AEW World title for up to 1 year. I was really back and forth on this match, man, to be honest with you. This is one of the matches I told you guys before when I did my Dynamite review for the past couple weeks since this was announced, that this was going to be the match that's going to be really telling to see how the rest of All In really plays out. On one side of the coin, you can see the Bucks lose their EVP status, lose this matchup. It would probably change their entire persona. You wouldn't see the EVP trigger anymore. You wouldn't see them coming out as EVPs, and maybe they might go back to what they once was, the original Young Bucks that we all, grew up watching, or, watching New Japan and watching Ring of Honor. It's a possibility. And I'm a firm believer, if it's not broke, don't fix it. On the other side of the coin, if the Ospreay and Swerve lose, they don't get a chance to challenge for the world title for up to 1 year. That's a big risk to take with two of your biggest stars on the roster not being in the main event scene or challenging for the AEW World title for up to 1 year. Now, on the flip side of that coin, it could also be good for younger talent to get, on the main event scene. Tony Khan building younger stars and building them into main event stars is also a very good thing. But seeing Swerve and Ospreay, your two biggest stars, not able to challenge for the World Heavyweight title for up to 1 year can be very challenging in itself for AEW. But with that being said, I'm going to take the Young Bucks in this matchup. I think what's going to happen here is that we're going to see Swerve Strickland possibly turn heel. Might have something to play into as far as the main event match between Page and Moxley, which I'll talk about here in a little bit. But I'm going to pick the Young Bucks to get the win. I just think the EVP thing is just their entire gimmick. It's their entrance, it's their theme, it's who they are. It's going to be very telling to see them not have that anymore. So we're going to see how that plays out. But I'm picking the Young Bucks to get the win over Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland. Moving on from that, we have Adam Cole defending the TNT title against Kyle Fletcher. I'm going to be honest. I'm a huge fan of Adam Cole. I think Adam Cole has done great things in his career, especially in NXT, Undisputed Era. And his first little run that he had in AEW was good before he got injured. Ever since he got injured, man, he has took his foot off the gas pedal. He has been coasting. It almost seems as if he doesn't even want to be in AEW right now. I'm going to go with Kyle Fletcher on this. I think Kyle Fletcher winning the TNT title brings a little bit more limelight back to the TNT title. I mean, Kyle Fletcher's been on a hell of a run here as of late. He's had some great matches with Will Ospreay, good matches and tag team matches with Takeshita, Josh Alexander. The Don Callis family need championship gold, and I think we get that with the start of Kyle Fletcher beating Adam Cole and becoming the TNT champion, where the Don Callis family can celebrate having championship gold around the Don Callis family. So I'm going to go with Kyle Fletcher beating Adam Cole for the TNT title. Moving on from that, we got a tag team matchup for the Hurt Syndicate. It's the Hurt Syndicate taking on Jet Speed and the Patriarchy. I'm going to be honest, man. This goes to what I've said before. I'm going to feed the hot hand. And I think the Hurt Syndicate retain the championship. I saw what they did to Jet Speed, beating the shit out of both Mike Bailey and Kevin Knight. The Patriarchy, to be honest with you, I don't want to see them win the tag team titles, because the way I'm looking at it is I see Christian having a falling out with the Patriarchy, specifically him and Nick Wayne. Christian and Nick Wayne, and we could see the reunion, if you will, of Adam Copeland and Christian teaming up once again, and maybe running roughshod on the tag team division, which they desperately need solid names for that tag team division. So I'm going to go with the Hurt Syndicate to retain the AEW Tag Team Championships. Moving on from that, we had a high-profile matchup. It is Mercedes Moné taking on Toni Storm for the AEW Women's Championship. This, again, is one of those matches that I've been really back and forth on, man. In my heart of hearts, I want Toni Storm to walk out and retain the AEW Women's Championship. But right now, it's really hard to go up against Moné because every single match Moné has had as of late, she's gone over. She holds countless titles right now. She's looking to beat the TBS title record that was currently held. It's currently being held right now by Jade Cargill, who is a current WWE superstar. So I can see her definitely surpassing that record and beating that. And I hate saying it, but right now Moné just has not lost. And until I see her, lose a match, I just don't see it. I would love to see Toni Storm walk out and retain the AEW World Championship. I think it'd be a great moment for AEW. But unfortunately, I think Mercedes Moné is going to beat Toni Storm, and she's going to become the new AEW Women's Championship. And it's going to be very telling to see what happens to the AEW Women's locker room after Moné will then hold the TBS title as well as the AEW Women's Championship. So it's going to be very telling to see what happens on the women's side of things for AEW. But I'm picking Mercedes Moné to beat Toni Storm and become the new AEW Women's Champion. And then we get to the main event. Adam Page versus Jon Moxley for the AEW World Championship in a Texas death match. Again, very high-profile matchup. This is the matchup that a lot of fans have been waiting for, especially since Adam Page had won the Owen. And he gets to challenge Jon Moxley for the AEW World title. Jon Moxley and the Death Riders have been pretty much holding that AEW title hostage. We have not seen it since last October for Wrestle Dream, when Jon Moxley had beat Bryan Danielson. We've seen Marina Shafir walking around for months now with a briefcase with this AEW World title, so we have not yet seen the belt. We don't even know what the belt looks like or if it's even around anymore. And the Death Rider and Jon Moxley situation has ultimately been the demise of most of AEW. It's been something that people are just tired of seeing, tired of watching, tired of being a part of. They're just done with it. They're done with the Jon Moxley situation as well as the Death Rider situation. I think this match, and I've said this before, I think this is going to be one of those WrestleMania 40 moments between Cody and Roman. We're going to get the same thing here between Adam Page and Jon Moxley. I think we're going to see every single superstar that was screwed over by the Death Riders be a part of this match to try to help Adam Page facilitate a win and become the new AEW World Champion. With that being said, do I see Adam Page walking out World Champion? No, I don't. I think right now they're going to have Jon Moxley retain that belt for a little bit of time. I think we're going to see Bryan Danielson. We're going to see Swerve. We're going to see Ospreay. I think Swerve is ultimately going to cost Page this match. If Swerve and Ospreay do lose against the Young Bucks, I could see Swerve turning heel. Because if he can't challenge for the title, he ain't going to let Page win the belt either. And this sets up a storyline to go on between Swerve and Page. I can see Swerve causing Page to lose and having Jon Moxley retain the AEW title for a very small period of time, because if Darby Allin does win that Casino Gauntlet match, I can see Darby coming out at the end of the night, cashing in that Casino Gauntlet briefcase or contract, cashing in, and then beating Jon Moxley for the AEW World title at All In. And Darby Allin becomes the new AEW World Championship at All In. I know it's a hot take for a lot of people to understand. There's a lot of moving parts. But I can tell you guys right now, everybody that I've talked to had said that this main event between Page and Moxley is going to have a lot of resemblance to what WrestleMania 40 was between Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. There's going to be a lot of names involved in this match, a lot of shit going on. And I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a great match. For all intents and purposes, though, in my heart of hearts, I would love to see Adam Page beat Jon Moxley and walk out AEW World Champion. But I'm also going to be honest and tell you that it's a win-win for me, whether it's Page or Darby that beats Jon Moxley at All In, and either one of those guys are AEW World Champion. I'm done with the Jon Moxley experience, especially with the Death Rider situation. I'm done. I'm done with Jon Moxley. I'm done with the Death Rider situation. It's ultimately killing AEW's vibe. It's hurting attendance records. It needs to go away. We need to see the AEW World title on AEW television. And the fact that we have not seen the belt since last October is ridiculous. I do not want Jon Moxley to hold this title all the way until Wrestle Dream, and then we get Darby and Jon Moxley. Because I'm telling you right now, everybody is going to be up in arms if Jon Moxley does walk in All In and walk all out, still AEW World Champion, and then that's it. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to be legitimately pissed off because we know what's coming down the pike, that it will be Darby Allin versus Jon Moxley, most likely taking place at Wrestle Dream, which I don't want. Jon Moxley at some capacity has to lose that belt at All In. Whether it's Adam Page, whether we get a cash in from Darby Allin from the Casino Gauntlet match, something has to happen. I do see a couple returns. I see Bryan Danielson, I think, will be a part of this situation in the main event scene. You know, Bryan Danielson has been taking bumps lately. I'm not saying Bryan Danielson is, coming back full time. That's not what I'm saying. But there has been rumors and speculation that Bryan Danielson still wants to wrestle. He might wrestle maybe 1 or 2 matches here and there, maybe. Obviously, it's not going to be a full-time run. But there is rumors and speculation that Bryan Danielson will be at All In some kind of capacity. I can see return possibly a Jack Perry, maybe. Eddie Kingston is also it's been rumored and speculated that he might also return and be a part of the Casino Gauntlet match, the return of Darby Allin. I mean, I think Darby Allin, I told you guys, Darby Allin is the wild card in all this shit. And I think Darby will be a part of the Casino Gauntlet match. He will win it, and he will move on to face Jon Moxley. He could also beat Jon Moxley at the main event of All In. But that's my prediction. I think Moxley will beat Page, but I see Darby Allin cashing in. If he does win the Casino Gauntlet match, he cashes in, and then we see a new AEW World Champion with Darby Allin cashing in and then beating Jon Moxley on the same night as All In. Moving off of that, we have Evolution 2, the all-women's WWE pay-per-view. Now, again, these matches are not in specific order, but these are the matches that I have. We have the Women's Battle Royal match. There's a lot of notable names in this. Most notable is Nikki Bella. She's announced herself for this Women's Battle Royal. So we're going to see some legends in the house, obviously, for this event. I'm going to pick Stephanie Vaquer to win this because the winner of this will move on to Clash in Paris and challenge for the women's title. I'm going to pick Stephanie Vaquer to win this and move on to face the women's champion. We got Jade Cargill taking on Naomi in a no holds barred match. I'm going to take Jade Cargill to beat Naomi. I don't think this affects Naomi at all by losing to Jade. Naomi has the briefcase. She's just patiently waiting to cash in and become women's champion. So I think this has no effect whatsoever on Naomi if she takes the loss in this match. We have the women's tag team matchup with Raquel and Perez taking on Bliss and Flair, taking on Sol Ruca and Zarya and the Kabuki Warriors. I'm going to take Raquel and Roxanne Perez to retain the AEW, wow, the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. I think there's a storyline there in itself between Raquel, Roxanne, and Liv Morgan once she returns. So I'm going to pick Raquel and Perez to retain the Women's Tag Team Championships. We have the Women's Intercontinental Championship on the line in a triple threat match where Becky defends the Women's Intercontinental Championship against Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. I'm going to pick Becky to retain the Women's Intercontinental Championship. We have the Women's Championship matchup between Tiffany Stratton and Trish Stratus. I'm going to have Stratton retain the Women's Championship in this matchup against Trish Stratus. And then the main event, we got Io Sky defending the Women's World Title against Rhea Ripley. I'm going to go with a wild card here, and I'm going to choose Rhea Ripley to finally get the win over Io Sky and once again become the new Women's World Champion. A couple of things I want to talk about and say before I get out of here, man, for these preview predictions. For one, I think it's going to be an incredible weekend. I think it's going to be a great weekend all around from WWE side of things as well as AEW. Obviously, All In is AEW's biggest show of the year. Like I said, with Saturday night's main event, I think it's going to be a really good show. There's been rumors and speculation that Roman Reigns will be returning to WWE imminently. I do see him making an appearance in Saturday night's main event. It could very well be a part of the Seth Rollins and Kevin Knight LA Knight match because Roman is slotted in for SummerSlam in some kind of capacity. He will have a match. So we're going to get the return of Roman Reigns, most likely taking place at Saturday night's main event. They're going to load this card up. Obviously, they're going head-to-head with All In. So I can see the return of Roman Reigns possibly at Saturday night's main event. There will possibly be more matches announced for Saturday's main event, but these are the matches that I have currently on the list right now. It could change. So I think Saturday main event will be good. Goldberg and Gunther. I do see Gunther retaining the title. I just don't see Goldberg walking out World Heavyweight Champion. I think it'll be a mistake for that to happen. This is Goldberg's last match, and some people are like, oh, well, it's Goldberg's last match. Let's give him the championship. I'm good. Let's have Gunther have a good match. Let's have Gunther retain the World Heavyweight title. And then we get to All In. All In is going to be absolutely insane. And it's not me, I'm an AEW guy. No, I think All In is going to be really good. I think if they do it correctly, All In can be one of the best pay-per-views that AEW has done in quite some time. If they do it correctly. And what I mean by that is we get some returns, possible debut. We get the return of Eddie Kingston possibly, maybe Jack Perry. Darby Allin returns in a Casino Gauntlet match. Maybe a possible cash-in on the same night. Swerve turning heel. Maybe Tony Storm could beat Mercedes Moné and retain the AEW World Championship, and this could be the demise a slow demise, if you will, Mercedes Moné. I'll be all for that. We got Adam Page and Jon Moxley. I mean, it'll be an incredible moment if Adam Page can actually walk out all in new AEW World Champion. And I told you guys before, if Page walks out and he actually beats Jon Moxley, you're going to see a similar situation possibly of what you've seen at WrestleMania 10, I believe, when it was Bret Hart taking on Yokozuna, and when Bret beat Yoko, which a lot of people don't like that match, but I loved WrestleMania 10. For me, it was one of my favorite WrestleManias. When Bret had beat Yokozuna, you saw Lex, Randy, and all these different superstars at the time on that card come out and celebrate with Bret and lift him on his shoulders, and they all have a celebration. I can see the similar thing happening here with Adam Page. Because the Death Riders, Jon Moxley, and that whole camp that he has with her has been ultimately the death of AEW. The shit needs to go. And I think a lot of fans, including myself, our biggest fear that we have is that Jon Moxley will walk out all in, still AEW World Champion, and he's going to hold that belt until we get to this October Wrestle Dream, where he faces off against Darby Allin. I think if that's the route they're going, it's going to be the biggest backlash that you're ever going to see for an AEW event in a very long time. There's going to be an abundance of fans and people and content creators and podcasters out there that are legitimately pissed off if Moxley walks out still AEW World Champion, and I will probably be one of them. Moxley has to lose it all in. I'm sorry. It's been way too long. It's hurting the company with Jon Moxley holding the AEW World Championship. We haven't seen the belt on television since last year's Wrestle Dream. It's time. It's definitely time. Whether it's Adam Page or we get a cash in from Darby Allin or whatever, Jon Moxley's tenure with the AEW World Champion has to come to an end at all. It has to. We cannot keep pushing this for another few months to get the Wrestle Dream in Seattle or Tacoma. It has to come to an end on Saturday. So I think it's going to be a really good card. I think it's going to be a great weekend. I think it's going to be a great pay-per-view for All In as well as Saturday night's main event. Definitely looking forward to it. And then we get to Evolution 2. And this is one of the pay-per-views that was really crucial on. I think, obviously, with Liv Morgan being injured, it threw a curveball into the mix for this event. For what I do understand, they're having a very hard time selling tickets for this event, from what I've been told. So that's also very telling. But it's also kind of, it is kind of cringy in the aspect that WWE is trying to do whatever they can to kind of stick it to AEW. I'm all for the women having a pay-per-view for Evolution 2. This should have been done a long time ago, to be honest with you, not now. I think it has a lot to do with AEW, to be honest with you. WWE and Triple H and Nick Khan are trying to do whatever they can to kind of stick it to AEW. And I feel like Evolution 2 is a part of that. With that being said, it's not a terrible card. Obviously the Battle Royal, you're going to have some surprises in that Battle Royal. I picked Stephanie Vaquer to win that. She's in the Battle Royal, as well as Julia and Nikki Bella. But I see Stephanie winning that matchup and moving on to Clash of Paris to challenge for the Women's World Title or the Women's Championship. We also have Raquel and Perez defending the tag team titles. We also have Io Sky and Rhea Ripley. I'm going to choose Rhea. I think Rhea is going to get her final win over Io and become the new Women's World Champion. I think it's just time. Not taking anything away from Io Sky, but you have to ask yourself this: what's next for Io after Rhea? But on the same side of the fence, you can say the same thing about Rhea Ripley. But because of the situation that Rhea hasn't got a win over Io, I think Rhea gets her final win over Io Sky, and Rhea walks out Women's World Champion. So it's going to be an exciting weekend. A lot of stuff going on. I definitely think it's going to be a newsworthy weekend as well, especially across the board, whether it's WWE and AEW. I think All In is going to have a lot of news coming in and out of that show. Maybe some good news, maybe some bad, depending on how the situation plays out. As well as WWE. I mean, it could go bad. Goldberg could win the World Heavyweight title, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to get pissed off about that. So it's going to be a very interesting and telling weekend, especially newsworthy weekend this weekend with all this shit that's going on and all the PLEs and pay-per-views that we had this weekend. So, but I'm locked in for it, man. Like I told you guys, I was going to give you guys a preview predictions for these events. Monday Night Raw review is up, as well as Dynamite review. SmackDown will be uploaded here, most likely probably sometime tomorrow, if not Sunday. But there'll definitely be a review out for you guys for that. And there will be reviews out for Saturday night's main event, All In, especially even Evolution. So this is the place to be for the reviews and these post shows, man. I will be here. I'll give you guys these reviews. And like I said, man, I'm locked in. I think it's going to be an incredible weekend. I think it's a weekend that's going to be, I think after the weekend's over, I think everybody's going to be kind of gassed out pro wrestling wise. But I'm excited, man. This is always something I enjoy doing. And, it's something that, it's what I love doing. And I think it's something that, I'm hoping the fans can sit back and relax and watch these shows. Because I'm telling you right now, I think, and I'm not being biased, but I think All In is going to shock a lot of people. I really do. I genuinely believe All In is going to shock a lot of people. I'm hoping to see some returns, some debuts, maybe, possibly. But I think All In is going to be very telling and very newsworthy after that event is over. And that's actually the first event that actually kicks off the weekend. We got All In, I believe, takes place at 3 p.m. Eastern. Then we get right into Saturday's main event, which I believe starts around 7 or 8 o'clock Saturday night. And then obviously we get Evolution taking place Sunday night as well. So All In is the first show of the weekend. So it's going to be very telling to see how the weekend plays out. And who knows, man, who's going to be better this weekend? Is it going to be AEW and All In? Or is it going to be Saturday night's main event and Evolution? The stack is pretty much decked. The deck is stacked against, AEW this weekend. So we're going to see how it plays out, man. But they're pretty much going head-to-head between AEW and WWE. So I'm definitely looking forward to see how this weekend plays out. But with that being said, this is my preview and predictions for Saturday night's main event, AEW's All In and Evolution 2. I hope you guys are out there staying safe. Be careful. And remember, stay classic.